Ron Gear's house in Route 75 in Langford, and today is October and it is 2021. And I was just wanting to find out a little bit about my family history, and Ron Gear is ready to tell a story.
Well, this is way back when I was a kid, probably 14, 15 years old. I became friends with Vito and him, and I used to go on the farm. Aunt Rini, we used to go up there, and I'd work on the farm, and I worked on irrigation and plowing land or disking land and all the stuff they're doing. And then we used to stay once in a while all night irrigation. So that went on and then after later I come back and started into different things. And I worked in the shop a little bit, and then I kind of went on my own. And one day, Vito Mecca come down and he says, I got a repossessed backhoe. And I says, Vito, I don't have 36 cents. Talk about buying it. No. He says, I'll tell you what, I'll leave it here. And I says, Vito, no. He says, I'll leave it here. He left it there. And he says, when you get enough money to make the down payment, come and see me. So that's what we did. And that's how I started with the backhoe. Back, and I'm not sure, it's 60, I think. 1960, I think it was. And then later on, I finally got paying on that. He comes around, bought another machine from him. And then after that, I went along, and then Peter Mecca got involved. And Peter's trick was come Christmas Eve to sell me a machine. And oh man, that was really something. So I was always kind of knowing what I wanted and what I was going to pay, and Peter Mecca would work you up. So I got after back and forth, and then I'd end up by a machine. And what we was doing that for, tell the salesman I could make a sale at any one time. And so that's went on for years and years. And always Vito and I, the grape pickers and all the other stuff he did. And I used to do jobs for him and around his places and things, and Leonard Mecca and all of them. And in the end, I was working for the whole family on the end. And that would be up to, when did Leonard, we built a cabin in down the country there. What year?
Oh, the Mosier Hollow?
Yeah.
Just so you know, it's not a cabin, it's a mansion.
Oh, we call it a cabin. Yeah, right. We call it a cabin because, people don't know what it is. I take people down there and they say, you call this a cabin?
I call it a mansion.
Mansion, yeah. It's on it. All right, Uncle Peter knew about had used the camp and everything, and Vito and Bobby Leonard got together on that one too, and we knocked it all down and buried it. And Peter went down the next day, and was he upset? Oh man, he used to get after me, Peter.
Well, he had the health department or the labor department with him.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really say it was going to be up to code.
Yeah, right.
So what time did you start the demolition?
Oh, we must have started early in the morning, and that's quite a while ago, but we got it all cleaned up and everything before anybody got there and everything. And then, another house, I knocked down your house there right by the bridge.
In North Collins?
Yeah. I tore that house down a long time, but remember?
Whose house was that?
Yours. Your dad's.
Near the Catholic Church?
No, down where the dip is, coming out of town.
A Diodato house?
OU's house.
Okay, that's at the other end.
Yeah.
You knocked that house down?
Oh, yeah, sure
Do you
did.
remember anything about that fire?
No, I don't
Nothing
remember.
about that fire?
No, there was different stories on it, but I didn't really know that much about it. So,
Well, anything that you say can and will be used as evidence in court. So be
yeah,
careful about what we talk about. But no, this was great. And I'm going to say thank you very, very much. And this was make my day.
make your day. Thank you. Yeah, we started for Peter Mecca and all the Meccas of doing it, the building in Eden, the new candy factory. And we went through a long time building it and filling it and doing everything. And
Who was that builder?
Heinz Kurz built it. They did all the rough, I did all the grade and all this stuff. And that went on for over a year. We worked on that, and Peter and I, Mecca, and then Vito was involved, and all of them were involved in doing it and everything. And it was quite a job. It was the first big job I ever had. And I learned a lot. And then they had Nick there, and Nick was really tough. And he'd holler at everybody and everything. And he's hollering at me one day, and I says, Nick, I'm going home if you holler at me anymore. So that was it. So he got along for a while and everything. So I found out he liked golfing. So I bought him some golf balls, and then we were friends. And then as then we worked in together, and I found out how smart he was. Very smart. And Peter was telling me all the while that he was very smart. Well, after working with him and doing things with him, I found out this person was very smart, and we got along real good. And as it went, his brother worked there, Chuck, and all them, and we just got together and thing. Peter was the rough one with you all the while. And then he didn't come around there too much. I didn't know him too well. Was Louis Mecca. And I worked for him on a farm, and Lawrence Cook and all of us guys worked with him. So we got, he really was tough on us, you know. And so one day the wheels were falling off the tractor, and I says, Louis, we got to fix this, got a wheel. He says, keep going until the wheel falls off. So I did. And I'll never forget that. So that's from then on. And then I bought the old factory from Alma, the pea vinery that you had over there in Alma.
Did they do green beans there?
Yeah, I think they did green beans over there. And I ended up buying that and taking it down and everything. They all kind of helped, and we got through it. And it was just, a great, it's a great learning period. And you learned a lot from them, either one, Vito or Peter, all of them. They were all smart, and you listen to them, and you learn. If you argue with them, it didn't matter. The next day, it didn't matter at all.
Now, you used to go to my Morley Road because
Yeah.
Uncle Leonard and Aunt Jerry let everybody snowmobile.
Yeah. And then Leonard and I became we became friends, and I worked on his house and did this and that, and we'd go out to dinner and everything. So then we snowmobile together and everything. And what is his relation? Married his sister, or
The DeCarlo boys.
yeah, the Carter boys and Angelo. The Carter did with us and all that, and we used to have quite a time going snowmobiling and everything.
So that must have been before everybody was in Florida full time
Yeah,
because
right.
nobody would be snowmobiling
No,
after they had
no,
to
it
do
was
the
before
cruise.
everybody was in Florida. So, I mean, it's just a long history of the Meccas. That's all I got to say.
Great.
And got some smarts and some good business out of them and helped me to no end.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank
You.
Okay, I'm Bob Johnson. I worked for Mecca Farms from the age of 14. I'm now 68. I'm an old bastard. But I did just about everything you could imagine with Mecca Farms. Started out raking beans, worked in the strawberry fields, picked grapes, picked beans, went to Florida, worked in the tomato fields. But a few things that stick in my mind over the whole thing were, I guess we start with Vito Mecca. We were up at Nick Rinaldi's picking grapes one day. And a guy named Gene Capron was running the grape picker. And the fan wasn't separating the leaves very good. So Vito climbed up the ladder to see what the problem was. And he pulled some debris out, and he took one hand off the ladder and he pointed at Gene to go ahead. And when he did, Gene let the clutch out kind of fast. Vito swung out on one leg, and boom, down he came and broke his leg out in the out in the grape field. He was laid up quite a while, but his daughter Kathy kind of took over the strawberries. She liked doing it because there was always money hidden in the car and she could find it. But we used to do, you name it, and we did it. Picking beans, we go all over the place. Brother Stephen one time took a bean picker out of gear going down into Spooner's Gulf and ended up jumping off it before it went over the bank, and just all kinds of stuff. And
Who was the first Mecca boy that you met?
Leonard was the first one that I met, and Uncle Louie actually treated me just like I was one of his sons. I mean, they were super to me. They did everything for me. I used to travel back and forth to New York to Florida with them, and in Florida, I was the only white guy that worked in the field with the Mexicans every day. I took all the empty boxes out for them to pick the tomatoes in. They were 4x4 boxes, and I ran the forklift and loaded them all and brought them back into the packing house at night. And one day I'm over on a farm they own. We call it the 441 farm. And my radio's going off, and I go to my truck, and it's Louis Mecca. And he says, "You've got to get back over here as soon as you can." I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "The packing house just blew up." And I said, "What? Just get over here." So I got in the truck and went over there, and there is cement blocks for a half a mile. They used to gas the tomatoes with bottles of gas. Now they don't do it. They use a generator. And something in the cooler made a spark, and it blew the whole place up. Big cooler doors went down the whole length of the building. It's just a miracle that people weren't killed or injured. And there was absolutely nothing left of the cooler or that end of the packing house. It was completely destroyed. We were in the field. We weren't picking yet, or just getting ready to start picking tomatoes. And when it would rain down there, me and the Mexicans, we'd all start shooting craps every day. I mean, when it was raining, we couldn't work, we'd shoot craps. And we're shooting, and here comes the grower, Sam Morales. He was in charge. He grew all the tomatoes and produce for Mecca's. He was a really nice Mexican guy. And Peter Mecca, we called him Doc, came out because the Mexicans wanted a raise. They picked tomatoes by the bucket and then run them to the end of the row and dump them in these big boxes. Well, they wanted more money. Well, Peter came out and started screaming at them and told them that there was no more money, he couldn't afford to pay him anymore, and went on and on and on. And Sam Morales motioned for me to come over to his truck, and he said, "You better get in here with me." And I said, "Why?" And he says, "Because one of them's going to pull out a gun and kill him." He just didn't have a clue because he was the money man. He didn't know anything about what was going on the farm.
Did they get a raise?
They did not get a raise, not then. Later that year they did. But initially they started picking for the same amount they'd been picking for. But there's so many stories that could be told about things with picking beans and strawberries. And my mother used to run a bunch of the strawberry fields for them. And they were friends of ours, like I say, well, I'm in my 60s now, so 55 years we've known Mecca's. Kathy and I kind of grew up together, even though we didn't know each other. We were 14, 15, 16 years old when we met. And she's one of the only girls that I really liked it. I didn't marry. I married all the rest of them, but she's the only one I didn't marry.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this interview. Thank you, Bob.
It was fun.
I'm from Mecca. I had 4 brothers, and they all were on the farm. And my brother Leonard was always working, and my brother Peter was a dentist, but he had to quit. And my brother Louis worked on the farm, and he used to weigh the beans in the fields.
You did that also.
And we used to take down the numbers. I worked with him every day. I used to pick strawberries and tomatoes and beans. Worked very hard.
Why did your brother Peter quit? What did you say your brother?
He had tuberculosis.
He was the dentist.
Yeah. He had tuberculosis.
And then the baby, he was the favorite.
Leonard, yeah. And Vito, he worked in the office down in North Collins. And I worked in the office with Sarah. And
That was Sarah Gullo.
Sarah Gullo and Louis,
But Uncle Peter was always in charge of the...
the money. Yeah.
Thank you.
Working in the strawberry fields with my uncles was a very good experience. But one of the things I really remember is at my Uncle Peter's house, after a whole day in the strawberry fields, he'd lay all the money all over the dining room table, and everybody had to count. And he was very happy at that point because there was a lot of money there. But we worked hard, and it was a very, very prosperous business. The people that used to come and pick were just cars and cars. We used to have to park them, and they'd get stuck. But it was a very, people came and picked. We did very well with it, and I worked all through my younger years since I was 10. But I made some money, and it was a good experience.
How are you related to Carmela?
She's my mom, and she used to bring us when we were young. All of us used to pack our lunches and get in the car and go. We weren't happy at the time, but it was a good work ethic for us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My mother's house. They built that in 50.
Close to 70 years.
Yeah.
70 years old.
My mother's roadhouse is 52 years old. 52 years old this month. We started that house. And the one in Banyan is 31 years old already. I can't believe it.
Aunt Jerry, you know how we used to snowmobile at your house? And you had that little dog, Mickey, and he went through the... You remember something?
when he got
Um,
run over by the snowmobile.
Who ran him over?
Oh, I don't know. He was so crazy and wild, and there were so many snowmobiles in the yard. I thought sure he was dead. It was over, I think, a holiday. And then the next morning, a lot of the people left their machines there in the yard. And we brought him in and we had him in the bed, you know, near the door there. I thought he wasn't going to make it through the night, but there was no vet or anyone to take him, any place to take him. And the next morning, some of the guys came early. He jumped out of bed. I thought, oh, he'll make it. He got stolen there, and that dog had 9 lives.
Who stole that dog?
Huh?
The dog got stolen?
Oh yeah. We were, I think, only there a week.
This was last year. I think.
And he was so friendly. A car went by on the road, and he ran out to the road. And they opened the car door, and of course he jumped right in, and it was a car full of Puerto Ricans. So we didn't know what to do. We barely saw it. So we called Uncle Tommy, and Uncle Tommy, I could see that they were Puerto Ricans. So Uncle Tommy came over right away, and he went to the camp, and he said, whoever has that dog better return it right now. And they did. They returned it. They had it. And then he was lost when we were on Archer Street. We lost him. Lori was made her first communion. We had a lot of people at the house, you know. We had a party, and the dog took off. And he went to Peglowski's and climbed in his dog pen and was there for 3 days. But they said they never saw the dog in their dog's pen. So he was with this big female dog. She was like 4 times his size. I don't know what he thought he was going to do with her, but we always used to get him back. Then one time he went to the state hospital, and the guy working there opened the door, and the dog went in. And we didn't ever think we'd see. I knew somebody had the dog because he always came home. And he didn't come home. He was gone for over a week, and the kids are praying and everything to return the dog. So we put a notice in the penny saver, and this guy in almost where the cabin is had the dog. So he says, I think I have your dog. And sure enough, he had it. We always got him back, but
I remember Mickey.
yeah, he was a crazy dog. He thought he belonged to the world. He was very worldly.